This is a quick tutorial on how to use the MiVRy Gesture Manager in VR. You can move the Gesture Manager around in VR by touching the red sphere. The sphere will stick to your controller, allowing you to drag the Gesture Manager around. To release the Gesture Manager, yank the controller away from the sphere. The number of parts decides if gestures will be performed with one hand or two hands. One-handed gestures consist of only one part. Below, you can load existing gesture files. But for now, let's start by creating a new gesture. Rename the gesture by touching the text field. Create a second gesture and rename it as well. You can now switch between the two gestures. So far, there are still no samples recorded for the gestures. In the box below, select for which gesture to record samples. Record samples for the gesture by pressing the controller trigger. Perform the gesture in different places, at different scales, and different directions. That is, until you specifically want MiVRy to distinguish a smaller gesture from a larger one, or a clockwise gesture from a counterclockwise gesture. Record samples for the second gesture as well. If you make a mistake, you can just delete the last sample. Now we start the training process. When the training is finished, we can test the gesture recognition. The result is displayed above the Gesture Manager. The similarity is a value between 0 and 1, where higher numbers mean that the gesture was closer to the average of the recorded samples. When you're satisfied, you can save the gestures and the trained AI to a gesture file. For two-handed gestures, set the number of parts to 2. Now we can create gestures for each hand separately, which are then combined. Thus, it is possible to have a mixture of one-handed and two-handed gestures just by omitting one hand in the combination. For two-handed gestures, create a gesture for each hand. For clarity, I add the side to the name of the gesture, but it's not necessary. Now create the combination. For each combination, the gesture for each side must be assigned. Note that only the bottom field performs the assignment. The first two fields only select which combination and which side to change the assignment. Make sure that the correct gesture for each side of each gesture combination is assigned. Again, record some gesture samples, this time pressing the trigger buttons on both controllers. Again, start the training and test the results. If the training result is not satisfactory, it may be that the AI misunderstood your intentions. Restarting the training process may yield a better result. If this also doesn't help, you can try recording more samples. When satisfied with the gesture recognition, save the gesture combination file to hard drive.